Everyone's obsessed with Starship's landing flip, but that's not the hard part. The real boss fight happens after the fireworks, in orbit. Because if SpaceX can't do one thing, transfer super cold liquid oxygen and methane in 0G, then the moon is a maybe, and Mars stays a postcard. And here's what most people don't realize. One lunar mission could take 10 to 15 tanker flights. Not for drama, for math. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why. We'll break down the numbers that drive everything, why oxygen is the real weight problem, and how in microgravity, your fuel doesn't sit at the bottom. It floats, sloshes, forms bubbles, and clings to the walls, until surface tension becomes the final boss. So if Starship can haul skyscraper-sized payloads, why does one moon mission swallow a whole launch manifest? Start with the numbers that drive everything.
Everyone's obsessed with the landing flip, but here's the twist. Starship's hardest move happens long after touchdown drama. If we can't transfer super cold methane and oxygen in microgravity, Mars stays a postcard. In the next few minutes, you'll see why an orbital depot and 10 to 15 tanker flights matter more than viral clips. We'll break down slosh, boil-off, and why surface tension becomes the boss fight in 0G. Stick around to see the exact hurdles SpaceX must clear before a single boot prints the moon or Mars. If Starship can haul skyscraper-sized payloads, why does one lunar mission swallow a whole launch manifest? Start with the numbers that drive everything. The ship that lands on the moon can't leave Earth fully loaded. It has to survive ascent heating, max Q, and engine-out margins, so it rides uphill lean on propellant. In low Earth orbit, it's a giant stainless tank with a dry mass that still counts, but not enough methane and oxygen on board to push a fully stacked vehicle to translunar speed, and then brake, land, and get back. The gap between what reaches orbit and what the moon mission needs is so large that you fill it with tanker flights. People love the landing stunt because it's visual. Meanwhile, mission planners stare at spreadsheets of kilograms and seconds. The expensive part isn't the flip, it's moving cold mass into orbit, keeping it cold, and handing it off without wasting a drop. That's where the budget quietly shifts from one big rocket to a campaign of logistics. Look at the propellant mix. Starship burns methane, but the real weight comes from liquid oxygen. Oxidizer to fuel mass ratios sit around 3 to 1, and oxygen is denser. That means most tanker volume and mass moves LOX. Every time you think, just one more tanker, you're really covering oxidizer shortfalls. Methane tops off early. Oxygen drags the count higher. Use a wallet metaphor. You want to spend 1 ton on the moon. To make that purchase, you need several tons sitting in a low Earth orbit account, because the bank charges transfer fees at every step. Getting tankers to orbit costs propellant. Lining up 2 vehicles in the same plane and phase costs time and sometimes extra burns. Pumping from one to the other is never perfect. Valves cycle, lines chill down, and you discard some residuals. If you add a depot middleman, you gain flexibility but pay overhead to keep the depot cold and to manage boil-off. So your original ton now demands a thicker stack of tons in LEO. Ideal rocket equations look tidy, but real operations add padding. You carry reserves for off-nominal burns. You assume a little boil-off between passes of Earth's shadow and sunlight. You budget ullage gas, line conditioning, and slosh control. Each safety slice is small, but together they nudge the tanker count from maybe 6 into more like a dozen. Now walk through a clean flow. A tanker launches, climbs to the depot plane, and waits for the right phasing. It performs rendezvous burns, docks, chills the transfer lines, and starts pumping. While fluid moves, you keep both vehicles settled with gentle thrusters so liquid stays at the outlet. You cut the transfer before you risk vapor ingestion, then undock. The tanker deorbits, lands, and heads for inspection. Turnaround takes time, and the planet keeps spinning, so the next launch slips into a different window. Miss a plane crossing, and you wait in orbit. Stack several of these cycles, and you see why calendars and tanker counts grow together. There's another lever, orbit choice. A higher depot altitude reduces atmospheric drag and can trim reboost propellant, but it increases the energy a returning tanker must dump on re-entry and lengthens rendezvous timelines. A lower inclination makes launches more efficient and may cut the tanker total, but it shrinks daily windows from your launch site and complicates return paths. Pick your poison. Fewer tankers with tougher windows and hotter entries, or more tankers with friendlier timing and gentler heat. Add up the leaks, margins, and traffic rules, and double-digit tanker flights stop sounding wild. They look like the rational outcome of conservative math stacked on real hardware limits, which sets up the actual problem you have to solve next. Not thrust, but how to make tons of cryogenic fluid behave like business. What happens when your fuel stops settling and just hangs out wherever it wants? In microgravity, there's no down inside a tank. You lose hydrostatic head, so pressure doesn't naturally push liquid to the outlet. The propellant and its vapor mingle into sloshy blobs, with bubbles wandering through volumes that were designed for steady flow. That turns phase control, knowing exactly where the liquid phase sits, into a core task before you can even think about opening a valve. Hardware expects a steady column of liquid. Valves, turbines, and pumps are happiest when they never see foam or gas. Feed them a bubble and you can trigger cavitation, chop up flow into surges, or cause a transfer to stall while sensors debate whether they're reading vapor or liquid. One bad gulp throws off tank pressures, and the system has to recondition lines and re-establish stable flow before you continue. Without gravity, surface tension and wetting take the lead. Liquids cling to materials they like and curve away from ones they don't, forming menisci that lock onto edges and corners. Tank geometry becomes a fluid tool. Sharp creases can pin contact lines, while smooth contours guide films along preferred paths. Engineers tune coatings so liquid either spreads into a film or beads into lumps, depending on what the outlet needs. That's where propellant management devices earn their keep. Veins and channels run along tank walls to wick liquid toward the sump. Screens and meshes act like capillary sponges, trapping liquid in their pores and presenting a continuous supply to the pickup. Diaphragms and bladders can physically separate vapor from liquid, but they add mass and need to survive cryogenic cycles. Even small sponges near outlets store a reserve of pure liquid, so the first seconds of flow are clean while the rest of the tank settles. Keeping the fluid cold is its own battle. Methane and liquid oxygen want to boil at room temperature leaks. In vacuum, convection disappears, so heat shows up through radiation from the sun and earth, and through conduction along struts, lines, and fasteners. Every watt that slips and flashes a bit of liquid into vapor, raises tank pressure, and pushes the system toward relief valves or venting you don't want during a transfer. So you stack defenses. Sunshades block direct light and cut radiative load. Multi-layer insulation wraps the tanks in reflective blankets, breaking up heat paths so each layer sees only a fraction of the temperature step. Vapor-cooled shields use cold boil-off gas routed through jackets to intercept heat before it reaches the bulk liquid. Add active cryocoolers, and you can pull energy out of the tank, reliquefy vapor, and hold pressure steady for longer windows. Motion control ties it together. Tiny settle burns create a whisper of pseudo-gravity, enough to draw liquid to the outlet and pin bubbles away from screens. But those pulses cost propellant, and they ripple through the docking stack. Thrusters that keep two vehicles aligned also have to avoid shaking the tank into fresh slosh. Timing burns between valve cycles and pump ramps becomes a dance. Too gentle, and the liquid wanders. Too firm, and you waste fuel or stress the joint. When it works, it looks simple. Capillary structures guide liquid. Thermal shields keep it cold. Soft thrust holds the phase boundary in the right corner, and valve logic meters flow without pulling vapor. You get a clean, continuous stream at the moment you ask for it, and the transfer ends with tanks still calm and within pressure limits. Nail that choreography for a few minutes, and you can top off a single vehicle. Hold it for hours, and you can run a campaign. The next question is whether the same tricks can hold for months while a depot waits for its next customer. Starship's viral moments make great clips, but the mission actually depends on quiet, repeatable control of cryogenic propellants and weightlessness. If those transfers stay stable, timelines move. If they don't, everything stalls. You'll know progress when tanker flights dock cleanly, valves open without chatter, and boil-off numbers barely budge across day-night cycles. So watch the tanker campaigns and any orbital depot demos. Look for long transfer windows, minimal venting, and steady pressures instead of quick edits. That's the real green light for Moon and Mars. Next, the scale challenge, months of storage. Can an orbital station keep tanks cold, calm, and ready between customers?
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through the cosmos, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell. And when you're ready for your next space mystery, click the video right here.